Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture on C++ programming language. And we are on lecture 34 on C++. And in this lecture, we write another program on C++ using switch statement. We use this time character in our program. And I write the program which is called performance feedback system. In this program, we ask the user to enter a grade. And the grade should be A, B, C, D, or F. If the user enters A, which is a character, so we actually, give a feedback to the user. It says, like, you are excellent, or we can say excellent. And if the user enters B, we say very good. And if the user enters C, then we print out, we say good. And if the user enters D, we say passed. If the user enters F, we say failed, or our program should print out failed. If the user enters another character, so we say, error or invalid character. So let's write our program using, switch statement on C++. So before I write this program, please pause this video and go to your computer and try to write by yourself. And then if you have any, issue or problem, you can come back and watch this video. So let's write our program. We are on lecture 34 on C++. So our program logic is like, we ask the user to enter a grade. Like it's a performance feedback system, like we write a performance feedback system. So we ask the user to enter a grade, between like A, the grade should be A, B, C, D, F. So this is a character. So we ask the user to enter, a grade. When the user enters a grade like A, for example, we say excellent. Our program shows, excellent. If the user enters, B, the program says very good. Your grade is very good. If the user enters C, our program output, your grade is good. If the user enters D, we say our program should, print out passed. If the user enters F, we say failed. And if the user enters another character, so like any other character like X, like Y, Z, or any other character, our program should say, error, okay? Error or invalid character. Invalid character. So this is, our, this is what we have to write. We should write this program. And it's called performance feedback system. So let's write this program using C++. So we start from, including first our, iostream library. So hash include iostream. And this is the library which, used for, cin and cout. Like in this program, we can see here, we get input from the user, which is character, like A, B, C, D. And we output to the user, so like excellent, very good, good, pass. So we need to include this library because cin and cout is, located in this library. And then we using namespace, std. And this is, C++ standard library, or the namespace of a standard C++, which all the rules and regulations about the C++ program, how to write them and checking the syntax are included in this, library, which is called the standard C++ library. And we need to use this library as well. Then we write our main function, integer main. This is the function which our program execute. Any code we write inside the main function, it will be executed. Otherwise, if you write the code outside the main function, they will not be executed. So all of our code goes inside, the curly braces here. The curly brace or the block for the main function starts from here and it ends here. At the end also we write a return 0. Return 0, which tells the operating system that this program is successfully executed. So now we need here, if you can check in our logic, so we need to define or declare a variable as type of character because we ask the user to enter a character. So we need to store that character somewhere, and where we can store inside the variable. So I write here, I declare a variable char, and I name it grade, char grade. And then we see out, and say, this is a performance feedback system. Then we use nline. And here we see out again and ask the user, see out, enter a grade. We ask the user to enter a grade. A grade should be like A, B, C, D, F, A, B, C, D, F. And then quotation, close the quotation, and then here semicolon. When the user enters the grade, we need to store that grade inside the variable of grade which we declared. So we say cn grade. So the cn is used to store, the anything user, entered from the user, a character, so it goes inside the grade variable. We store inside the grade. And then now we need to switch. And we switch the grade variable. Switch grade. And then we open the curly brace for the switch or block of the switch. And then we close the block of the switch at, I close the block of the switch before the return 0. So here we opened and we closed. And now inside the switch, we have cases. We check for case A, if the user enters A, and then if it is possible to user a small letter, like not on the capital letter. So we also check for case A, which is small letter. If the user enters capital A or a small letter A, so we should see out. We should see out excellent. And then inline. And then brick. Then case A, we check another case B, case a small b. So if the user enters, B, either small or capital, so we should see out. Very good. Quotation end line. And then we break. And then we have case C, case D, case F. The same way we check. So let me clean this side. Let me clean this side of the whiteboard. Okay. So I write the remaining of our code in this side. So if it is case C, if the user enters C, so for example, this marker is not working, so let me write another. Yeah, case C, capital C and a small c, if the user enters, a small c. And now we see out and we print out to the user good. Then we use end line, or you can use \n and then break. And then if the user enters case D, capital D and case small d, so we see out passed. End line and then break. And if the user enters, F, so we check for F, case say F, capital F, case small f, and then we see out failed. Because if you get if grades, it means you failed on that subject and you have to repeat that subject, and again you have to pass the exam. So we have here right failed. End line. And otherwise, if the user enters another characters like X, Y, Z, U, like W, any other characters, like, so we just print out, we use the default in switch. It's like else, in the F section. So the default, we say cout invalid, grade. It's better to say instead of invalid character, invalid grade. And then we have end line. And our break statement is also, we close the block. So this is, performance feedback system in C++. So we first declare a variable called grade, and then we see out performance feedback system. And we then ask the user to enter a grade like A, B, C, D, F. And then the user, when it enters the grade, so we store that grade inside the variable grade. And then we switch the grade. If the user enters A, capital A or a small a, so we compare the value of the case with the grade. If they are equal, so this part of the program will be executed, which says excellent and then break. Whenever it says break, it means the program, stop the execution of, the switch part, and then it goes back to the main function after the switch statement, anything we have. If the user enters B, so now inside the grid is B. Is B is equal to A or A small a? No. So this case will not be executed, the first case. It checks for the second case. And the second case, it says B is equal to B. So the second case will be executed. If it's not B and it's C, so this case is not executed. This case will not be executed because the value is different. So when we compare, and here we have C, but here we have A, this section will not be executed, this section will not be executed, and then this section will be executed because the value of C, the value of this case is equal to the grade which is entered by the user C. So C is equal to C, so this section will be executed and it print out, good. And if the user enters D, so this case will not be executed, this case will not be executed, this case will not be executed, and this case will be executed because the D is equal to D, and now the program print passed and then break the execution of the remaining part of the switch. Then if the user enters if, so again, this case will not be executed. This case will not be executed. This case will not be executed. This case will not be executed because the user enters if, so this case will be executed and it print out failed. And now if the user enters another character, for example, it enters K, so none of the above, like cases will not be executed because there is no K for the K, for K. We don't have any case. So the default section of switch statement will be executed and see out, it says invalid grade. So this is a performance feedback system using switch statement in C++. So it's time for practice. Let's write this program in our computers. I'm back in my system, so let's open our C++ IDE. So we are on lecture 34 on C++, and we write a program or a performance feedback system using a switch statement on C++. So let's write our program. So first I see out and I see out performance feedback system. And then \n, and then \n. I use 2 \n and I need 2 new line. And then I ask the user, or first we declare our variable, so char grade. And then I ask the user to enter the grade. So cout and I can say enter your grade. So here we say enter your grade. And inside parentheses, I write A, B, comma C, comma D, and comma, or I can say comma F. So we ask the user to enter, a grade between A and F. And now when the user enters that grade, so we store that grade inside grade variable, and then we need to switch. We need to switch the grade. If the user enters A or A. No. If the user enters capital A or small letter A, so we say cout. Okay, we cout, and I write here, excellent. You're a top performer, for example. Excellent. And I also print out, you are a top performer. And then we use, \n, new line, semicolon, and then break. And then we ask, we check the case B. So if the user enters B or B, small letter B, then we cout. We cout very good in this case. Very good. And also, I can see out like you have shown great understanding. \n, new line, and then break. Break. And then if the case is C or a small c, we check for capital C or a small letter c. If the user enters C, either capital or small letter, so we need to, see out. So I can say good. Good. And I can say also you have a solid foundation. You have a solid, foundation. And then \n, new line, and then we use our break. Now we check for case D. In case D, so if the user enters small letter or capital letter D from the keyboard, so we now print out for the user that you passed. See out, say passed. And then also we can show to the user, you should review, the material again. And then \n, new line, which creates a new line, and then we use break. And then we have our last case, which is case A for case small letter f. Let's make our program more readable. And now we see out felt. And then we also print out the message, please meet with your instructor. Please meet with your instructor. Yeah, that's a good message. So you should talk with instructor so the instructor can help him, to pass the exam and advise him to read, the subject or the books or watch the videos, tutorials to pass the exam. And then we use break. And at the end, we have default. If the user enters another character, so we print out, it's not a valid grade. It's better to print out not a valid grade, \n. So this is a, performance feedback system in C++, using switch statements. First, we declare, grade variable, which store the grade when the user enters from the keyboard. Then we switch the grade. We check the grade. If the grade is A or a small letter A, so it's print out excellent, you're a top performer. If the grade is B or small letter B, it prints out very good, you have shown great understanding. And if the user enters C, so it prints out, good, you have a solid foundation. If the user enters D or small letter D, it shows program print out passed, you should review the material again. And if the user enters F or a small letter F, the program prints out failed, please meet with your instructor. And if the user enters, another character or none of the above cases are correct, so the default, will be executed, default section, and it says not a valid grade. So let's run our program so we can check. Yeah, it says performance feedback system, and then there's, we can see here 2 new lines as well. Then it asks the user to enter your grade. So for example, I enter grade A. Then it says, excellent, you are top performer. If I ran the program again and enter, like, for example, a small a, it says, excellent, you're a top performer, the same. If I enter grade D, and it says passed, you should review the material again. And if I enter F, so it says, failed, please meet with your instructor. And if I enter another character, like for example X, it says not a valid grade.